Morning, everyone. Welcome to geometry class for Thursday, March 26th. Our objective today is to be able to solve special right triangles, that being the 45, 45, 90 and the 30, 60, 90. So let us begin in prayer. Glory be to the Father, to the Son, and the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. So to solve the special triangles, what I first want to do is a review problem. Today's class will be very short. I'm going to do a couple of review problems. We're going to do a daily quiz, and yes, we will spin the roulette wheel to see if you have to turn it in. So here's a problem that combines both the 45, 45, 90 and the 30, 60, 90 triangle. I see that I have one side of 8 and I'm trying to get x. Remember, when x is written like this, it's asking for this distance from here to here, point to point. Well, I don't know much about this triangle other than the fact that this must be 90 degrees and this must be 60, but I don't know any sides. So I'm going to have a hard time finding x with just that triangle. But if I look at this triangle must be a 45, 45, 90. So what I can do is I can introduce another variable. Let's call it y. Y is going to be this height for this 45, 45, 90 triangle. I can find y because I know in a 45, 45, 90, a leg times the square root of 2 is the hypotenuse, and the hypotenuse divided by the square root of 2 is a leg. So I know that y is equal to 8 divided by the square root of 2. Again, I cannot have the square root of 2 in the denominator, so I multiply by the square root of 2 over 2, and I get 8 times the square root of 2 over the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is just 2. I can see that 8 over 2 reduces to 4 square root of 2. So that's what y is equal to. So if this y is 4 radical 2, I now know a side in this triangle. So knowing that, I can find x, because in this triangle, this is the short side. And I know that the short leg of any 30, 60, 90 triangle times the square root of 2 gives me the long leg, and the short leg doubled or times 2 gives me the hypotenuse. Well, this is the long leg here, so I can now find x. X is the short side, or the short leg, times the square root of 3. What is the square root of 2 times the square root of 3? It's the square root of 6. There are no factors in here that are perfect squares, so I am finished. I have found x. So this is a nice example that combines both of the solution techniques that we've talked about the last couple of days. So I invite you to look at this, make sure that everything we did here makes sense to you as we move towards taking today's daily quiz. Okay, in our second example, we want to review the use of the Pythagorean theorem. Here I have a triangle. I know the sides are 5x, 12x, and the hypotenuse, if it is a right triangle, is going to be 13x. But I'm asked to classify it by its angles. So I'm really trying to find out if this is a 90-degree angle or not. If it was going to be a 90-degree angle, the conditions of the Pythagorean theorem would have to be met. Notice I don't know exactly what any side length is, but I can still see if the Pythagorean theorem works. The Pythagorean theorem is going to work. This is going to be the 90-degree angle because it's the biggest. It's the biggest angle because it's across from the longest side. So 5x squared plus 12x squared, a squared plus b squared, the two legs squared added together, would have to equal my hypotenuse for 13x squared. What is 5x squared? It would be 25x squared plus 12 times 12 is 144. X times x is x squared. Does that equal 13 times 13, which is 169 x squared. I do have two x squared terms, so I can add the 25 and 144. I do get 169 x squared is equal to 169 x squared. That is, in fact, true. So I can see that the conditions of the Pythagorean theorem are met. So I now know that this is a right angle. Okay. So this is a right triangle. Okay. It is a right triangle. And even though I didn't know what any particular side was, just by knowing the ratios, I knew that it was going to be a right triangle. So you can put any value you want in for x, and whatever triangle you get with the exact known sides, then you know it's going to be a right triangle. If I let x equal 2, this would be 10. This would be 24 and 36. 24 and 26. And if I did the Pythagorean theorem on these numbers, it would work. I know that must be a right triangle. So that's the second, a little more complicated use of the Pythagorean theorem that we have been doing. But if you can follow along with this one, should be all set. All right, before we take the daily quiz, I'd like to just review homework for this week. Late homework will be accepted in the Dropbox this week. I know we're all getting online. I know I'm learning a lot. I know my dog barked in the video yesterday. Yesterday I said it was Tuesday when it was really Wednesday. So we're all working through issues, just like I've learned to stop here, so I'm not writing down here and you can't see. The main objective for this week is that everybody be able to submit something in Dropbox in the form of homework or daily quiz. So to help in that effort, I will accept late documents at no penalty. If you did turn your homework in on time, and I'll be able to tell that looking in Blackbaud, I will give you extra credit. Okay? So there is, for this week, extra credit applied to homework on time, and I will accept late homework at no penalty, just to make sure we all get used to this new technology in Arena that we're playing in at this time. All right. The daily quiz. I need you to submit it by tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, just like you would any other document like homework. We will spin. If it is black, you will submit it for grade. If it is red, you will submit it, but you can mark not for grade on it. And I will give you feedback on it, but it won't go in the grade book. It's very important that you submit it. If it's a red spin, don't just say, I don't have to turn it in. If you don't turn it in or don't submit it, it will be a 0. Okay? You have to turn it in and tell me not for grade if you don't want it to go in the grade book. Okay? And if it's green, I will grade it. I will put it in the grade book. You'll be able to look in Blackbaud and see what your grade is. And then you can tell me if you want it to stay in Blackbaud or not. Easiest way to do that is to shoot me an email, or even easier, hop on my Zoom office hours and just tell me you don't want the daily quiz to count, and I'll take it out of Blackbaud. All right, so we'll spin in just a minute. Let me go get the roulette wheel. All right, here is the roulette wheel that we're used to using in class and you all are used to. Unfortunately, I can't have you spin it. We might be able to figure out something about how you might be able to do that in the future, but for now, I will spin it for the class. And I will show you the results. You can see that it is a red 19, okay? Red 19. So the daily quiz is posted for you in the class announcements. You need to pull that down. And since it was red, everybody must submit it by 8 o'clock on Friday. But if you do not want it to count as a grade in the grade book, all you have to do is write right up top by your name, not for grade. or do not grade. Just let me know somehow, and I'll still give you feedback, but I will not put it in Blackbaud to count as a grade. Right? So good spin for you. It is red, and you, like I said, you can get that on class announcements and download it. So to wrap up today's short class, you do have a daily quiz to take, and you will have a homework assignment, both of which will be due tomorrow, Friday, by 8 o'clock. So the priority to this week is to be able to submit documents on Dropbox. So by the end of the week, you should have 3 homeworks and 1 daily quiz, all submitted by Dropbox to me. Remember, the daily quiz is red, so remember to write not for grade if you don't want it to count. If you need any of the documents, the daily quiz and the homework, they're all located in class announcements on Blackbaud. There will not be any homework this weekend, so we're going to push hard at the end of this week to try to get this figured out, right? This being able to submit the Dropbox. Then we'll take a break this weekend, and I do appreciate everybody's efforts to try to get connected with me in Dropbox. Remember, if you submit your homework on time, you'll get a little bit extra credit applied to that homework. All right. See you tomorrow.